I go by Statik Link. I'm a soul, funk, jazz, hip hop, all the above musician. Play multiple instruments, as you guys can see. I've done a lot in the hip hop world. I've done a lot in the EDM world, dance world. I'm also a teacher, teach music. Yeah. To me, it's kind of like old school. Like I remember when I first started DJing, like I think it was like 2006, 2007. If you played a house record, you were playing techno. Anything above 110 BPM was techno. And it was either you were a hip hop DJ or you were a techno DJ, and you might be playing funky house. It was crazy. And I think we're at a time like that with music as far as the live instrumentation goes. I just want people to understand that when they listen to my record that they're gonna hear these types of things. So that's why I was classified as jazz, just to kind of relate to like the average listener. I think that the reason I decided to do that was because I wanted to try to take a genre that's not very popular, it's very underground, and try to bring something new and fresh to it. People associate these instruments, saxophone and trumpet, with being just jazz instruments. And if they see somebody playing that, they just automatically assume they're jazz artists. And also, you know, I wanted to create a record that I know that when I first started making music, sampling was a big part of my thing, going out digging for records, finding samples, and using sounds from an era where music was more organic, like what you guys saw today, where everything's being played. So I want people to do the same thing with my stuff, hopefully in the future. You know, be able to take my stuff, chop it up, make it into something else, you know, create a musical collage of different parts, you know. Dream collab, man, that's crazy. I'm a huge Kendrick Lamar fan. To Pimp a Butterfly is probably my favorite album one of my favorite albums of all time. And it's just because it's a very good fusion of jazz and hip hop. Kamasi Washington, I love Kamasi Washington, like that would be huge. Thundercat, you know, maybe in the future put out a record with like Stone's Throw or something like that, because that kind of matches what I do. You know what I mean? I want to collaborate with musicians like, you know, Passe, and guys that I know who are incredible musicians, and I just want to jam with them. You know, and that's the idea of being able to play instruments, because I feel like that's part of the DJing realm too, is when you get lost in the laptop, you lose that collaborative, organic piece of doing music together. It's just that I say that with a grain of salt, because obviously I'm doing like this by myself, and a lot of that has to do with just money. You know, in my opinion, even though streaming is like good because people can discover you and you can be put on playlists, it also pays very, very little. So to have to split those royalties with other people, it's very hard for a band to make a living nowadays. And I think that's why we don't see very many bands anymore. So it's just, I think, you know, that's part of this too, is I want to be able to perform these records that I'm playing out. So that's why I created something that's like a hybrid DJ set and a live set, just so I don't have to try to get a band, because I feel bad like asking my friends who are also DJs to be like, hey, why don't you give up your Saturday night where you make $200 by yourself and come make 25 or 50, you know? And I think that's something that we're really fighting against. But I think as the demand goes up for more people to see this, and you know, I'll leave you with this, like one of the things that I've been told by my students that I teach, and these are kids, these kids want to learn how to play these instruments. You know, they want to learn how to do this kind of stuff, and we're starting to see mainstream jazz artists like Kamasi Washington, like Thundercat get exposure in a limelight that 10 years ago would have never happened. I think the future of music's very bright, honestly, and I think that's, you know, we're at a time where we're going to get a good mixture of artists who can play these instruments and artists who can, you know, do the DJ stuff and understand the technology and conform those two together. So. I dropped my album, Shapes of Music Volume 2, 2 weeks ago. Hit #1 on the iTunes Jazz charts, actually. So we had a big celebration with the homies about that, which was cool. I got a couple projects that I'm working on right now. There's one, actually, I'm going to LA with the homie Mop Top at the end of August to work on a huge project. I can't really say who it is, but she's finishing up an album right now. It is a her, pun intended. It's gonna be really cool. So I'm going out there to work on that. And you know, a lot of these producers are looking for stuff like this, and it makes people who can play these instruments in high demand to be able to work on these projects. So I got that I'm doing. I'm debating if I want to start a new album. I've already released 4 albums this year of material. The first 2 were very short, like 2-minute, 1-minute, 50-second songs. My Beautiful Heartbreak was a good fusion of current like hip-hop influenced 808s with like the saxophone and trumpet and everything like that. And the last album, Shapes Music Volume 2, that was also a more cohesive body of work where I actually went in the studio and worked on it. I'll probably just drop one more project. I mean, you know, 4 albums is kind of a lot, and we're in an era where people want new music all the time. You know, for anybody watching this, if you want to check out my albums, they're all on all the streaming platforms. My social media, Statik with a K at the end, Link. You can check those out, you can Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, all that stuff. And it's even on vinyl. So if you want to get it, you can go to my Bandcamp and buy a vinyl record. I have them on vinyl as well. So.